Air Chief Marshal Sir John Allison, one of the RAF's most senior officers, has escaped injury in a crash involving the last flying wartime Messeschmitt fighter. Sir John was trapped in the wreckage of the Me-109 aircraft when it landed upside down in a field near RAF Duxford in Cambridgeshire. The Air Chief Marshal, who's 54, is the Commander-in-Chief of RAF Strike Command.
The Air Chief Marshal was flying the German fighter on its last public appearance before it was to be retired. It was taking part in an air show at the Imperial War Museum in Duxford. Witnesses say the plane appeared to have trouble putting its wheels down as it came into land. The pilot lifted the plane up as it approached the end of the runway. Then it appeared to stall. It crashed into a field, flipped onto its back, and came to rest upside down close to the M11. Sir John, who's the Commander-in-Chief of RAF Strike Command, was trapped in the cockpit until a crane lifted the plane upright. He was released by fire crews, but walked away from the crash unhurt. He refused to discuss the incident. In Who's Who, he lists air display flying as one of his hobbies. Earlier, another pilot put the old plane through its paces above the Duxford airfield. There had been fears that the aircraft was no longer safe to fly. It would have been grounded after today's flight. It's the last Me-109 in airworthy condition. Originally captured by the Allies in North Africa in 1942, it was restored and flew again in 1991. Tonight, engineers are assessing the damage, but it seems unlikely the old German fighter will ever take to the skies again. Martin Lawson, Sky News.
The disgraced former...
...for over 70 years. The last working Messerschmitt 109, the German wartime fighter plane, has crashed at an air show in Cambridgeshire. The appearance was due to have been its last because of fears that it was no longer safe to fly. The pilot was Air Chief Marshal Sir John Allison, the head of RAF Strike Command. He escaped without serious injury.
The elderly aircraft had just completed what was expected to be the last flight of its long life. As it came in for touchdown, it became clear that something was going wrong. Unable to land, the plane shot off the runway, crashing only yards from the M11 motorway. Only moments earlier, the pilot, Air Chief Marshal Sir John Allison, had strapped himself into the cockpit despite fears for the aircraft's safety. The RAF's rescue crews, backed by the local emergency services, were on the spot in seconds. The wreckage they found was total. Witnesses said the plane had flipped up onto its back at speed. All the more extraordinary that Sir John, the head of RAF Strike Command, who lists display flying among his hobbies, was reported later to be relatively unscathed. Chris West, BBC News.
Germany's Michael...
In sport. One of the RAF's most senior officers had to be rescued today after he crashed the last working Messerschmitt beside the M11 motorway. Air Chief Marshal Sir John Allison, the Commander-in-Chief of RAF Strike Command, landed the plane upside down in a field. From Cambridge, Howell Jones reports.
This was the last time a Messerschmitt 109 would start up and take to the air. Little did the pilot know he was minutes away from a crash landing and a place in aviation history. First came a mock dogfight with a Spitfire, a scene straight from the Battle of Britain. Then on landing, the Messerschmitt gave spectators something a little more unexpected. It overshot the runway, bounced over the M11 motorway and crashed in a field. Rescuers found the plane upside down and the pilot unhurt. Air Chief Marshal Sir John Allison had flown the Messerschmitt before, but had no immediate explanation for the crash. Messerschmitt 109s were the pride of the Luftwaffe. The one which crashed today was the very last in flying condition. And even before the crash, it was heading for retirement in a museum.
So this fighter's final approach is being made not under the power of its own Daimler-Benz engine, but towed by a tractor.
It might yet find a home in a museum, but only after many more years of restoration. Howell Jones, ITN, Cambridgeshire.
There was tight
Air accident investigators will today begin their inquiry into the crash of the last working Messeschmitt 109. The Second World War German plane may have suffered loss of power as it came into land at RAF Duxford. The pilot, Air Chief Marshal Sir John Allison, the head of RAF Strike Command, escaped without injury.
The most ambitious voyage of